Hi, everybody. Welcome to Tomato Slice Book Club. Hello. So I just want to make sure everything's working. So if you can hear me and you're watching and you haven't said anything in the chat room, go ahead and say hi in the chat. Hi, James. Hi, everyone who's joining us today. Oh, hi, Toaster. Oh, thank you, Toaster. Oh, good morning, sir. He's been sleeping. This is Toaster, my puppy. The nice thing about the new setup in the living room is that Toaster's much more apt to join us, which is cool. Oh, good. So somebody said hi. Hi, James. Good to see you. Great. So I mean, my internet's like lightning fast now, so I don't think we will ever have problems with that again, which is awesome. But if there are any, the chat room is a place to let me know. Anyway, so let's get started. Welcome, everyone, to the first ever Tomato Slice Book Club. And I'm really excited about this because I read a lot, like a lot. And most people, like my friends, aren't that interested in the stuff I read, but you guys are because you guys like the stuff I like because that's why you hang out with me online. So I'm really excited to be able to do this. And I'm going to be choosing books from all over the place. So usually I read, you know, lots of health books. Like I've read a zillion. I review them on Summer Tomato often. But even if I'm going to do a formal review on Summer Tomato, I think it's still nice to have a discussion here. And I think you guys are the perfect people to do it with. But for this one, I wanted to start with something a little bit more fun because I was reading a book I was reading Weston Price's Nutrition and Physical Degeneration, which is a pretty intense and very academic book. And I didn't want to scare everybody off. So I started with something fun, which is Garlic Sapphires by Ruth Reichl. And those of you who don't know who Ruth is, she's an amazing woman. If you're not familiar with her work, I highly recommend following her on Twitter. She's an amazing tweeter. She's just at Ruth Reichl. She has a fantastic blog. I want to find out who designed her site because it's gorgeous. I just love it. She has several best-selling books. For a long time, she lived in Berkeley. She worked at a co-op restaurant for a while and then ended up editing at a bunch of different places and ultimately ended up as the food critic of the Los Angeles Times, where she spent a good amount of time. And then after that, she was recruited away from the Los Angeles Times to the New York Times. And this book that we read this time covers that transition and also her experience as a New York Times food critic, which was quite humorous. So she's amazing there. After she finished at the New York Times, she actually went on to be the editor of Gourmet magazine, which it no longer exists, but was the best food magazine by a lot of people's standards, and it was wonderful. She also hosts amazing shows and podcasts she did for Gourmet. She had this TV PBS show called Gourmet's Diary of a Foodie, which I think the old episodes are still on iTunes. I think you can go back and watch them. If you're at all interested in international cuisine or travel, these are just the most beautiful shows. They're so inspirational. Ruth is just a magnificent woman, and I just wanted to read something fun this time that I thought everyone would enjoy. So hopefully you did. Let me just check to see one more time who's here. Okay, just no one else. But so basically, I'd like this to be just like a book club. So I belong to a real life book club, and you know, it's a bunch of girls, and we get together and we have wine. So I encourage you all to have wine and cheese if you have that. And we sit around and we talk about the book. And so a couple people emailed me and said that they'd be willing to come on the show with me to actually have a live conversation about the book, which is awesome. So I'm going to welcome now Abigail, who also read the book, and we're going to have a discussion. And anyone else who wants to call in. All right. I figured we could get it working eventually. Are you there, Abigail?
I am here.
Okay, I can hear you, but I can't. You don't appear to be moving. Okay. Thanks, James. Can you hear Abigail? Can you talk a little bit, and can James tell us if he can hear us both as well?
Sorry.
Perfect. Okay, so Kate says we can hear. Excellent. All right, so let's just start by talking about did you like the book?
I thought it was awesome.
Cool.
Yeah, I mean, it was just great.
Did you know much about Ruth Reichl before reading the book?
No, that was the first I've even heard of her. So.
Awesome. So, what did you like about it?
Her food descriptions. Well, I mean, just the way she writes in general, but the descriptions, the way she described food was just very unique, and it was really, I liked it a lot. Cool.
Awesome. So, hold on. People are telling me that there's no video. Let me just ask a question real fast. Yeah, I follow Ruth on Twitter, and like I mentioned at the beginning of the show, I really like her podcast and everything that she's done with Gourmet. But, Aubrey's here. Hi, Aubrey. Let me get you in here, too. Hold on. We're going to get one more co-host up in here. So, Aubrey, I'm going to, awesome. I'm going to invite you as well. So, multi-shots, and then there were 3. Welcome. Oh, I can't hear you, Aubrey. Your audio is too low. It's very, very quiet. Yeah, it's really quiet. So maybe mess around with your volume a teensy bit. Yeah. So feel free to keep talking, and I'll let you know if I can hear you, or keep testing. In the meantime. Yeah, I agree. I think that Ruth's descriptions of the food were amazing. In particular, she made me want to try new things. Like, I think my favorite part of the book was when her and Ed Levine went into some part out on Long Island and were out sampling different delis and stuff. And I just wanted to be there with them every step of the way. It just sounded amazing. And I kept wondering, like, how is your stomach so big? Like, how do you eat all that food? But I wanted to be there for that.
Yeah, that was a really cool part of the book. Any time she was out eating at different restaurants and stuff, I felt that way about it. Just made me want to go to all those places.
Yeah.
Well, all the ones she said were good anyways.
Right. That's an interesting point, right? So a lot of her criticisms were based on how she was treated at the restaurant, and actually, and a lot of times it did translate to the food, right? There was the example. So she went to one place where she ordered a dessert, and then it came out with decent raspberries, and then they found out who she was, and they brought out a different dessert with like bigger raspberries on it. Like, how weird was that? I guess I'm not surprised by that, but it was neat to see her calling out restaurants for, favoritism and stuff. Which I don't know if that exists anymore. Has anybody had any experience with that? How about Beans in the chat? What do you think about that? You have a lot of experience with restaurants. So my buddy Josh down in the chat room has worked at a lot of high-end restaurants in his day, and I'm curious is it normal for like separate raspberries to be set aside for like special guests and stuff like that? Anybody know? Josh, do you know? Kate, do you know? Oh, that's interesting. James can only hear the person that no one else can hear.
Oh. I'm just gonna go ahead and talk in chat then.
Oh, that's fine. I can kind of hear you, but you're just really faint. All right, so it might be messing up. Do you want to say something, Aubrey? Go ahead.
Okay, well, if you can hear me, I don't know. I was just gonna say, I think it's probably more of a New York thing. I know, like here in Seattle, and even when I've lived in LA, it's so much more casual that you don't see that difference. You know, somebody who looks like they could be either a 22-year-old out of work bum, or they could be, you know, a startup or in TV or something. So, yeah.
Yeah, totally. San Francisco is fairly casual too, but we definitely have those, like, a few of those glitzy restaurants, you know, and you know, I almost feel bad. I feel like I'm probably one of the people that gets treated well, but you know, I've never been like, oh my God, I could never sit at this table. Like, there's no table that I'd not want to sit in most restaurants. So Beans recommend. Let's see. Beans down here in the chat room says, well, in most higher end places, they tend to separate all the produce for the max estimated number of covers for that dish. A good reason not to show up at the end of the night. I sometimes like showing up at the end of the night because I can get a seat at a place that's hard to get reservations. So I wanted to ask you guys. So obviously, one of the most interesting parts of the book was her a desire to be anonymous while dining, and therefore putting on all these different costumes, and it just ended up being this hilarious exploration of her own personality and, you know, her relationship with her family. And I'd love to know what you guys thought about that. What do you think? What did you think, Abigail?
I thought it was interesting. I guess her reasoning behind it was what I thought was so cool about it, was that she was trying to, like, rate places on their, you know, show people that these places might have really great food, but if they treat people crappy who go there, that then they're not as good a restaurant or whatever. And I don't know, I like that about it too, that she was trying to do it for everyone, not just, you know, elite people or whatever. So
totally. I loved how she explained to her editors that, you know, there was this huge audience that reads the Times but can't afford to eat at restaurants like that on a regular basis, but they want to read it, they want to know about it, they want to feel what it's like. And I thought that was a really interesting it was a fantastic, I mean, it's just fantastic reasoning. And also that she democratized it even more by going to ethnic restaurants and non sort of fancy French places that are the typical places that are reviewed by, you know, critics at the Times. And I thought that was really awesome. And it made me, I mean, when she was describing soba noodles in Japan and her time in Japan and eating sushi, like, I have trouble, like, dipping my rice in sushi after reading that. Like, I feel embarrassed. I want to turn it upside down and dip my fish in it and do it right. What did you think about that, Aubrey?
I really thought that was super interesting. It was almost hard for me to imagine, like, different ethnic foods having such a lower connotation as compared to other places.
Right.
I'll just type.
What did you guys think then? One of the most interesting parts, so I guess the book is called, like, Garlic and Sapphires, right? And I'm assuming that the sapphires are referring to her costumes and the glitz and sort of her changing it up. And I was really interested in how she was seeing things in herself that she didn't know was there. And I don't know, it was sort of a comment on society about how we don't realize how much we judge ourselves and judge each other based on how we look. I mean, it's weird, I think, that you can put on a different costume and almost, like, assume someone else's personality. And, you know, it says a lot about appearances, and that maybe we shouldn't dismiss them as superficial, you know, offhandedly, when clearly they make such a big impact on society. What did you guys think? Abigail, go for it.
I liked the part where she dressed up like her mother, and then just, like, completely acted like her mother, and she didn't like these things about the way her mother acted, but she totally, and you can tell she even enjoyed, you know, acting it out, and it was just, I thought that was hilarious. And like everyone says, like they turn into their parents or whatever. And it was just really interesting how she ended up, you know, being that way then after, just because of the way she dressed or the way she, you know, just going in.
So I think that's an awesome point. And I don't know if you know this, but her latest book is actually called Not Becoming My Mother. Like, she seriously has issues with, like, her mom. And I haven't read her latest book, but I know that she has, like, she really, really wanted to separate herself from her mother for a long time, and has sort of recently reconciled that and realized that her mom is in her to some extent and will always be, and that it's just a part of her, and she's herself as well. It was really interesting. What did you think, Aubrey?
Yeah, I totally agree. I also thought it was interesting how she would compare her childhood food memories to the things that she was eating now. And we kind of corresponded to the gateway vegetable concept of retasting foods.
Yeah. Yeah, so what Aubrey's talking about, anybody who didn't check out Summer Tomato this week, I had a guest post from someone who I think is also in Seattle. And she wrote a post about how she hated vegetables and never wanted to cook and was really, really stubborn her whole life about food until, like, one day she had this epiphany at a barbecue where she discovered these grilled vegetables that she loved. And from that moment, she realized that all food was capable of being good. And now she's, you know, forces herself to learn to like things, basically. I had a long phone conversation with her before she wrote up the post, and she had a really interesting perspective on it, which is that, you know, sort of you need to have that gateway experience, that gateway vegetable experience where you're exposed to it and enjoy it for the first time. But once you've been there, you can project more, that you can project that should be possible in other situations. And so anybody who hasn't shared your own gateway vegetable story, please go over to Summer Tomato. I'm collecting those stories today. So I just think it's fascinating how many people come to eating well through different paths. I think it's awesome. Anyway, that was totally off topic, but yeah, no, it's awesome that you made that connection, because she definitely had a lot of. She has. It seemed like she removed herself quite a bit from her childhood. Like, she moved to California, it seems like, after college, and then ended up going back to New York, where she was, like, super hesitant to go, but then you sort of realize she grew up there, and the more she roamed the city, she realized that, you know, parts of her past were everywhere, and she couldn't really escape them, especially her mom. So I have a question for you guys. So I loved that all these stories were, you know, she'd tell this amazing chapter of, you know, something that she did and how she overcame it, and then she'd end the chapter with a recipe. And I was wondering, did any of you guys try any of the recipes? Anyone? Go ahead and speak up.
Not yet. I really, really want to. Right now I'm currently living with my parents until October, so I don't really have a kitchen that I can utilize very easily at the moment, because my mom's in our kitchen quite a bit. But once I move out and have a kitchen to use again, those will be some of the first recipes on my list. So
awesome. How about you, Obs?
No, I didn't have a chance to, but I mean, I love a good roast chicken recipe, so that always like stands out to me.
Funny you should mention that, because I actually tried her roasted chicken recipe for that reason. I love roasted chicken, and I am embarrassed to admit this, but, like, the one thing, like, I hardly ever cook is meat, and it's, you know, I love meat, and I actually get a lot of, like, crap on Twitter and stuff because I tweet about how much I enjoy meat and how I don't think it's unhealthy, but because I have a lot of vegetarian followers who just get annoyed by me, but ironically, after all that, like, I really don't cook meat because I just feel like it's harder to cook, and it's like it's a bigger investment, it's more expensive, you know, it's easier to mess up. I really don't like overcooked meat. I feel like it takes a little more planning. It's just a bigger meal, so I have to make sure, you know, if my boyfriend's going to be there, that he's home that day or whatever. But, you know, when I read that chicken recipe, I was just like, you know what? Damn it. I'm going to go home, and I'm going to go to the farmer's market this weekend. I'm going to get a chicken, and I'm going to roast that thing just like Ruth says. And I used her recipe. I even did the potatoes and everything. And it turned out amazing, like really, really, really amazing. So I recommend it. I had a really good chicken. I got a farm-raised chicken. And I changed it up a little bit. I didn't have that much... you're supposed to take the excess chicken skin from inside and stuff it underneath the skin. And there wasn't that much extra chicken skin on my chicken, so I put some butter in there instead. And also I chopped up some rosemary and added that as well. And I actually put the rosemary under the skin and also on the potatoes and everything else I was roasting in the pan. And I didn't have a rack or anything. Like, I'm a pretty retarded roaster, like meat person. Like, I don't have any of the supplies to do it, but it turned out amazing. So I recommend the chicken. And I had to like Google forever like which side I was supposed to cook it on, but you cook it breast down apparently. I'm sure Josh is laughing at me right now. I also wanted to try the risotto. It sounded really good, but I think I missed the springtime veggies, sadly. Yeah. It was good, Josh. I'm sure your chicken's better, but mine was pretty okay. Let's see. One thing I saw when I was doing a little research for today, and I saw that apparently they're making a movie about garlic and sapphires, which is awesome. Maybe we can have a tomato slice movie night. So what else did you guys like about it? Anything jump out for you, Abigail?
I just, my favorite thing, like I already said, was just the way she described things, and she's just a great writer, and it was so engaging. I just wanted to keep reading it from the very first page through the end of it. And it was one of those books where I was a little bummed out when it was over, and will definitely be reading more of her writing. So
awesome.
I enjoyed it a lot.
How about you, Aubrey? Did you have a favorite part or a favorite something?
I don't. Again, I liked the entire book. I thought that the end was just kind of sad. Obviously with her friend dying and everything, but I can't imagine. We've all had moments where you're like just at work and you're like, oh, I'm so tired of doing this, and I can't imagine that being like, oh, I have to go out to another dinner. I have to go out to like another the mix of just being like so sick of it and eating all this like incredibly luxurious food. Like, it's such a weird clash. But, there's anything you do that often, I guess you get kind of sick of. So.
Yeah. I have to say I relate to that part a little bit because I eat out, like, I used to not eat out very often, and whenever I did, it was this like magic event, because eating in San Francisco, like eating in Seattle, is just, it's this amazing experience. Yeah. But I have like a totally different social life than I used to have now, and we go out all the time. And sometimes I'm just like, enough with the rich food, enough with the, wine pairings. Like, I'm sick of waking up like, foggy-headed every morning because like I had such an amazing dinner. And it totally sounds like I don't know if you saw that website, White Wine. It's like WHITE, and it's like whining about like your awesome life, but it's true. Like, you do get tired of it, and you just want to stay home and roast a chicken.
It's always one or the other, though. It's always one. It's always one extreme or the other. If it wasn't like that, then you'd be like, I'm so tired of kale and beans.
Right, which is, hard to do, but just kidding. Absolutely. Damn, kale's good. I'm just trying to think what else I liked. So let's talk a little bit about her different characters. She did such a good job describing these women, and even the way she described her friend, the dramatic, her mom's friend, the short dramatic woman. I forget her name. I'm really bad with names. So if I ever, do you remember her name? The short woman, the short like older woman, Carolyn. No, no, no.
No, Carol was the
yeah, she was like, I forget. Anyway, the way she described her was just like amazing, and also the wig person that she kept going to, who would like purposely pick out the wrong wig for like 10 tries just so that the right one would be that much more dramatic. It was amazing.
It's interesting how you can like see yourself through different eyes when you're dressing up that much, I guess.
Go ahead.
Oh, no.
I think, I mean, she obviously liked, her favorite one was Brenda, right? Brenda was the redheaded hippie chick with the crazy clothes who was nice to everyone. And Brenda was a great character. She totally reminded me of like Janis Joplin or something. But I think one of the most intriguing characters she picked out, like for me, was the blonde that actually went on a date with someone. Like she actually like took the persona so far that she like went on a date with a stranger. Like when she's like married. What did you guys think of that? I thought it was insane.
Yeah, she like asked permission first, but yeah.
What did you think, Abigail?
It was just so crazy how it was really crazy just how it totally became her, or like she became those characters then, like just by, you know, it started with the dressing up and then she became that person and they were so different. And I also loved how her son reacted to it, and he just like enjoyed every second of, or most of the time enjoyed every second of it. And you know, he thought it was so fun that she was all these different people, and he always asked who she was and wanted to know about her, and I thought that was really cute.
Yeah. And so what were you saying, Aubrey?
Oh, I was just, it also reminded me of the description of the charity dinner that she went on with the food warrior.
Oh, right.
Just a really just likable guy at the very end. And it, I mean, that kind of, she wrote that obviously before the whole like foodie backlash idea, but I think we've all kind of met those people where you're just like, calm down.
Yeah, like the ultimate foodie douchebag. They're actually, they still exist.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Also, when she was, you reminded me, when she was on that date, and that guy was trying to impress her with his food knowledge as well. And she just played the dumb blonde. And he was like, "Oh, this is real balsamico, like they have in Modena." And she was like, "This is squid ink." Like, that was awesome. I wonder if these people ever really saw the reviews. What would you think? That'd be crazy.
Makes you think twice about the way that you act too. You know what I mean? When you meet strangers and stuff, like it's never worth it to try to impress people.
Yeah, I got the feeling he was like, he really believed him. That he really believed it. He really thought he was having balsamic from Modena. But anyway, did you think that? I don't know. It was interesting, like how she left, how she ended up deciding to leave, and her rationale was to spend more time with her son. I guess she got to do that, so that's pretty cool for her. It seemed like a fun job, though. I wouldn't mind doing that for a couple of years.
Well, I'm sure as the editor of Gourmet, she was eating a lot of amazing stuff too.
Right. But not with the fun dressing up, though.
Yeah.
Any have you guys read? So I reviewed another book by a former New York Times food critic, Frank Bruni. I don't know how long you guys have been reading Summer Tomato, but did you guys see read that one, Born Round.
No, I haven't.
It's on my to-read list, but...
Yeah.
It's really good. It's way different.
But he talked a lot about, like, issues with food.
Yeah, he had an eating disorder.
Weight and stuff, yes.
It's really good. It's really different. That was all I wanted to say. Oh, but speaking of food critics with weight problems, does anybody think it's weird that Ruth is so skinny? Have you seen pictures of this woman?
It must just be like a genetic blessing.
Maybe, or maybe it's just that she has a healthy relationship with food.
It always seemed like she was eating so much. I mean, you said that already. Like, I can't imagine staying that skinny if I was eating like that all the time, but maybe it's just the way she is. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, well, you can guess that she's eating, like, small portions, even if you have to, if you're going to a 5-course meal every night, which she was doing that or more, and sometimes lunch, you can't be eating a lot. And I've learned this through Frank Bruni's book, that he learned to, because he basically, his story was about struggling with weight his whole life, and at the very end he becomes a New York Times food critic and doesn't gain weight, and that's sort of the story. It's really cool. And he said the way he did it was by, being very careful about what he ate of each dish, and he'd instead of like saving the most juicy middle part for last, he would eat that first, eat 3 bites, and know in his mind that he's already eaten the best part, and therefore be comfortable with like moving on to the next course. So she must do something like that. I don't know. It's just so strange. It's just a lot of food. I get so full.
He made a lot of references to doggy bags and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just, if you're doing it all the time, I don't know how much you'd want to bring home at that point. Yeah, it's awesome though. James is listening in. James, did you actually read the book? I'm hoping you come to the chat. He might be coming in and out. I'm trying to see if I like to call people out who are watching. No, just you guys. I guess he's away. Let's see, what else did I like? What do you think about her relationship with her son, Abigail?
I thought it was really... It was just really... I always like seeing different parenting perspectives and just the way that she dealt with the whole issue and like didn't hide things from him, particularly about her, her disguises or whatever, and how he was kind of in on the secret, like the one time with the doorman or whatever. Yeah. I think it was when she was Brenda, and the doorman guy was like hitting on her practically, and her son just thought it was hilarious and just got in on the secret and loved the different personalities, and it was just, I thought that was really cool, and just that they seemed very close was very cool to see.
How about the husband? Like, it seemed like to me that the husband, I mean, it was kind of weird that he didn't like to go out to eat. Like, she pretty much had to like drag him kicking and screaming, and then he put up with her like putting on these weird costumes and going on a date. That's the funniest part. What did you think? Did you think he was just cool? Was that the impression you got, that he was just cool?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of recognize my husband's a little bit quieter and a little bit less social than I am, so I kind of saw a bit of that relationship, and it was familiar to me. He was just like, okay, go and do whatever you're doing, it'll be fine, and just kind of laughed at me. And
that's awesome. It's awesome that she had such a supportive home network to sort of lean on when she needed it. Because it sounds like, I mean, after reading that, like, I mean, I hope to not one day eat my words, but I feel like I wouldn't want to work at the New York Times. I mean, it just sounds harsh.
Hopefully it's changed in 20 years. Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. But she did seem to leave the paper because of her family, though. Like, she wanted to spend more time with them. Mm-hmm. How crazy was it that her husband was going to interview Bin Laden?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was really great that she realized when it was affecting her family in a negative way that she decided it was time to let go of it and not be part of it anymore. That showed her where her priorities really were for her. And I mean, everyone's priorities are different, but just it was cool to see that she, since that was more important to her, she went with that and followed what she really wanted.
Totally. Well, I'm glad she did, because she moved on to lots of awesome things. And actually now she's, I don't know if you guys have seen it, she's one of the like consulting editors at the Guilt Group, new food site called Guilt's Taste. Mm-hmm. If you guys haven't checked that out, it's great. Mm-hmm. It's just a beautiful website, just beautifully designed. And what's interesting is their revenue model is actually selling products, not ads, but almost like a Amazon or something for high-end food. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. God, what was I going to say? Well, if you guys have anything to say, I'm going to keep thinking. But any other thoughts on the book or Ruth or food? Aubrey?
Is it? I'm gonna look it up.
God damn it, I was going to say something. Yeah, there it is. I'm totally blanking. Well, next time, I don't know if you guys saw it, I want to talk about Monica Reinagle's book, because it's been sitting on my shelf forever, and I've been dying to read it, and I read a review of it the other day, and it's supposed to be great. So we'll get into a little more health-oriented stuff. But if you're interested in reading more Ruth Reichl, I think Tender to the Bone is the one that's supposed to be really good, and then Comfort Me with Apples is also supposed to be awesome. So we might do another one of those in the future.
Oh, such good titles.
And actually, Monica Reinagle, the nutrition diva, for the next book, she agreed to pop in and chat with us about it too. So if we want to ask her anything, or if we want to argue with her about anything, she said she's willing to do that here live with us. I remember what I was going to say. I keep looking at myself and remembering that the one thing I wanted to do today that I forgot to do at the beginning of the show, which is give a shout out to my brother Shay, because it's his birthday today. I think I'm not going to guess how old he is, but this is his band, Seedless. They're a reggae band, and I just wanted to tell everybody that if you like reggae, check out my brother's band, Seedless. I would never promote him on my show, but he's my brother, and I love him, and it's his birthday. So happy birthday, Shay. I think he's probably 26, 25, 25. Dang. Yeah, 25. He's got to be. So happy birthday to him. All right. Well, that was fun. There's not a lot of like health things to discuss. So unless you guys have anything else to add or anything you want to talk about, we can start wrapping up. Closing thoughts, Abigail?
I I don't know. It was a great book, and if I'm going to be recommending it to people, so
Awesome.
that, I don't know. That's about all I have to say.
Great. Aubrey, any last closing thoughts? Say hi to Mom.
Yeah. Yeah, nothing deep. I'm just looking forward to the chicken this weekend.
Awesome. Yeah, make the chicken. It was really good. Great. Well, thank you guys for joining. That was really awesome of you to call in, and I hope to do more of these in the future. Hopefully, eventually we can get more than 3 people to read the book. And have a great night.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
Yeah, thanks.
Have a great day. Bye.
You do too. All right, and so just to wrap up for everyone, so the next show is going to be straight up old-fashioned Summer Tomato Live. It's going to be on June 28th. I think that's a Tuesday at 6 p.m. And we're going to be talking about salt and whether or not it's actually bad for you, because there's been a lot of bad press about salt lately. I'm sort of not convinced about the data, but I'm going to go dig really deep in it and come up with some answers for you guys. And we'll discuss it. So that is next week. Looking forward to that. If you want to participate live in that show and you have questions about salt you'd like to ask or chat, or if you want email nutritionist you can sort of ping anytime you want, you can sign up for the premium newsletter that gets access to the show, which is Tomato Slice, and you can sign up at the URL below, tinyletter.com/summertomato for that. And thank you all for joining us, and we will see you next week. Adios.